relieves us of a lot of responsibility for having a highly structured presentation. So, like we're just kind of, I don't know what everyone else is like, but I've got these projects just proliferating, and not that good at organizing them, but I'm getting some help. So Victoria is one of my helpers. She's one of my interns, and she's trying to come back in. But so I advertised for interns with this organization or this platform called Handshake, and it can specify the schools that you want the interns to come from. So I just, I mostly Boston area schools so that I could meet with them, and I got 4 of the most amazing kids. They're like 22, 23, maybe Jesse's 24. I'm not sure, but they're in Emerson College. Do you all know what Emerson is? Yeah. It's a kind of a media and publishing, a lot of people from that going into that field. Dasha.
Hi.
Hola. Привет.
Hola.
Добрый день.
I don't know what's happening. I don't know.
I'm gonna start scheduling these 15 minutes earlier so that we can get all these things worked out before we go.
I don't know what's happening. I don't have a video.
You don't have a video, but why don't you just kind of work on it and we'll get started. We are live, so people are listening to us online. We don't have Oleg yet, but maybe that's going to happen soon. Anyway, I will run a video, which we kind of try and start these with a little video prompt. We also put some prompts on the text, the document that was attached to the. Did everyone get a chance to look at that, or no? Anybody get a chance to look at it?
It was the video was protected, so we couldn't actually access it without request.
No, not the video, but the text document.
I read it yesterday.
Okay, yeah, just some ideas, to think about as you read the book and stuff. Okay, here's Oleg.
Oh my gosh.
Virtually.
Children drew this parallel between themselves and Lisa's journey. Lisa, who is give or take about the same age as them, and she is just as lost as they are, not knowing where she's headed or what's going to happen tomorrow. This was very similar to what they were experiencing when they had to escape the war into Europe and didn't know what would happen going forward. So, Lisa's adventures were an opportunity for them to stop in some different world where there's a lot of miracles, real miracles. Where there is hope in something good, where not only horrors or scary things transpire, but also where one meets good beings that try to help over the course of this girl's journey.
Yeah, so that was, I thought that Victoria's been doing these kind of short video clips that we can show on social media and here, but this is the first time anyone's seen it. Victoria's fluent in Ukrainian and grew up in Brooklyn. Why don't you introduce yourself, Victoria?
Okay, now that I can all see you guys, this is easier. Hi, I'm Victoria. I'm a junior at Emerson College, and I'm interning at Pierce Press, doing different types of things. Yeah, I was born and raised in New York, in Queens, but my family's from Western Ukraine, Lvivska Oblast, a small town there. So I grew up very immersed in Ukrainian language and culture, and it's nice to be able to use those skills and interact with such a lovely book and book team and author. So it's my first book group meeting, so I'm very excited to be here and meet all of you guys. So yeah.
Thank you. Victoria's like way ahead of me in reading book 2 in the trilogy also, because she's helping the translator, and Kelly, the kind of first level editor, just tell us what you're doing, like what's the nature of your assistance? Victoria.
Yeah, so I'm reading through the English translation that Marina has done of the book, and I have my knowledge of Russian is very limited, so I'm not really helping with any translating parts, but more about developmental editing, and Marina looking to see if the story is clear throughout, consistent, and sometimes some of my knowledge is useful when I'm looking over some words and being able to connect them to the translation, and because some are similar to Ukrainian, so that's been very helpful.
Я так розумію, що мене не чути, да?
Ні, вас чути.
Ну, це дуже добре.
Yeah, sounds good.
Я нікого не чую.
А ми вас чуємо.
He's saying he can't hear us, but we hear him.
Can't hear you. Can't hear us. Okay, he's going to try and come back in.
Oh, and maybe.
Yeah. Is it a power problem? Or
It might be.
yeah, who knows?
It might be because the situation over there is terrible.
Yeah.
You know, the last couple of days have been terrible. Especially after the meeting in Alaska, it gets worse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, someone who might know a little bit more about it is Alexandra. Do you want to introduce yourself
as well? So I grew up in Ukraine, in Lviv, so I'm very interested which town Victoria's parents from. And I arrived in the US in 1989.
It's a little hard to hear you. I'm sorry.
Met Charlotte back in the early 90s when Charlotte was a student at the Texas School of Government, and I was working there for a project for academic reform in Ukraine. And I've been traveling to Ukraine before the war, before all the shutdowns twice a year. And now for the past 3 years, I've been going once a year, but primarily to Lviv, not anywhere outside of Lviv. Although I do have family right outside of Kyiv, so I follow very closely. It's a whole other dimension of following that type of stuff. Although the first time I went in 23 was weird, but now that I go, I know that all the locals have a little app on their phone, and the moment there's an air raid attack siren, everybody pulls up their app, and they know exactly which aircraft is in the air, what kind of missiles are they likely to carry, which direction is it going, and then life mostly goes as usual. So I've gotten a little bit better at it. And when there are no power outages, one of the years I went, the power outages were constant, so you couldn't plan anything, and Uber drivers would get lost because when power goes down, everybody switches to cellular data, so cellular data goes down because all the Wi-Fi is down. So yeah. But when there are no power outages, things are pretty normal in a place like Lviv, but just then once in a while something lands too close to home.
And were you just in Lviv?
Yeah, no, I did not go outside of Lviv because I have a lot of family stuff. My sister died, so I have a lot of things to deal with. So I was kind of like on this extreme mission of like gazelle and logistics.
Was it okay? I mean, did you were you was it traumatic for you or emotional or?
It's a little bit hard to sleep through air raid sirens, but eventually, people helps that where my family is, where I'm staying, is kind of on the either on the outskirts or in low-rise type of buildings because those are not targeted. It's the high rises that are targeted. I have a thing in a high rise, not severely on the outskirts of Lviv, but she says that the route where they're flying these drones is right in that area. It's in different places. And
yeah, well, I was worried because I hadn't heard from you and I didn't know, if
busy. Everything seems to be happening at once in so many areas and directions.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I understand that. Yeah. Well, and then one of our special new friends is Alex Schwartzman, who is a author. What am I calling you? Our author, speaker, and translator. Is that accurate? Tell us about your work. You're muted. I had to mute everyone.
I'm muted. Thank you. Hi.
There, I got you.
Я не можу зрозуміти, у мене мікрофон працює, мене чути?
Yeah, that's great.
Чи треба через наушники?
Вас добре
Нормально?
чути, так.
Microphone, I understand that.
Так, ну, ноутбук балується часто. Він такий постраждалий, такий бойовий ноутбук.
Well, we were learning from Alex a little bit about his work with Ukrainian authors, and also just tell us a little bit about what we've been.
I'm Oleg Schwartzman. I was born in Odessa and grew up in Odessa. So I left with my family in 1990, so around the same time as Alexandra. And I've been writing primarily in English. I've been writing lots of novels and short stories and also other projects, editing on anthologies, etc. And then I sort of by accident stumbled into translation. I translated some stories just because I loved those stories and I wanted to share them with Anglophone readers. And the appetite for them was enormous, and people asked to translate more and more. And then, publishers and studios and video game companies started reaching out to me, and I started doing that professionally over time. So, kind of just really walked into this career by total accident. But I'm really glad that I did, and I work with authors from across Eastern Europe. So I can only translate from Russian because that's what was spoken. Since I left, it was still the Soviet Union, so Ukrainian was not much spoken in Odessa at the time. And I can understand it some, translating from it. So I translate from the Russian, but I've worked with a lot of authors from Ukraine, including H.L. Oldy, the Dyachenkos, Vladimir Aronov, and many others, both translating fiction and nonfiction, and also helping them to get published in English. So helping artists to get jobs with video game companies, helping writers to submit their pitches to agents and publishers, and generally promoting the fiction from the region, as well as getting them paid and sending the money back through the systems that HLOD have set up in order to assist writers and artists from the Kharkiv region to kind of who can't really get paid because of all the power issues and connectivity issues that Alexandra explained. So I've been very fortunate to participate in this, and I'm glad that Charlotte reached out to me as well as the rest of the team and let me know about Oleg's book, which I really enjoyed and was happy to write a blurb for as well.
Let me stop you and see if Oleg needs any translation.
Да, я трошки не все зрозумів, тож мені потрібна буде допомога. Як я розумію, Вікторія буде перекладати, да?
Так, я вам постараюся. Ви мене добре чуєте?
Так.
Так,
Okay.
добре. Алекс себе представляв і розказував, як він виріс в Одесі, а він виїжджав звідти в 1990 році, здається, і він тільки російською розмовляє і професійно в своїй кар'єрі починав перекладати. Так несподівано вийшло, але йому це дуже вдалося, і людям дуже сподобалися ті твори, які він перекладав, що таке щось магічне і з духами зв'язано. І він собі таку кар'єру з того збудував, і тепер дуже працює близько з багато авторами в Європі, особливо з України, і допомагає, щоб їхні твори до більшої публіки дійшло, і він в англійську перекладає, і він особисто ще пише свої твори і книжки. І він як сконтактувався з Шарлотою, то він ще вашу книжку прочитав, і йому дуже сподобалося, і він за то вирішив, що він підписав цю таку відгук, щоб можна було людям більше розповісти, чому цю книжку варто читати.
Супер, дуже дякую.
Alex, go ahead, maybe a little bit about that article that you were describing to us.
Sure. So first of all, I just wanted to mention that I just came back from Worldcon. Worldcon is, for those who don't know, it's basically the Super Bowl of science fiction and fantasy writing. It's the most important convention in our field, where Hugo Awards are given and where most of the industry professionals gather every year, and it travels from place to place. So this time it was in Seattle, Washington. And at Worldcon, we had a panel which was called What's New in Eastern European Science Fiction and Fantasy. And because it's such a narrow topic, it only really had two panelists, plus a moderator. So it had me talking about Ukrainian and Russian fiction, and it had Yulia Novakova talking about the translations from Czech. So we got to talk a lot about what's coming out, what the challenges are, etc. And I definitely got the chance to talk about Oleg's book on this panel as well, since there's only a handful of translations that came out in 2025 from Eastern Europe overall, and only a few short stories as well. Now, another interesting thing was that H.L. Oldie, who is a pseudonym of two very famous Ukrainian writers who've been writing fantasy since about 1990s, very, very popular across Eastern Europe, they are in the process of writing an article about authors, science fiction writers who are in the military, who are fighting for Ukraine right now on the front. And they sent me a draft of this article to see if I could find or help find a home for it in English. And the article didn't yet include Oleg, so I made sure that they were aware of Oleg and his book. And they have subsequently added information about the book and about him, so it will appear in the article when it is published. I was able to connect them with Amazing Stories, which is one of the oldest science fiction brands in the world. And Amazing Stories will be translating and publishing this article sometime in the near future. So I expect it to be featured. So we'll have a good amount of additional publicity for the book from that, hopefully.
Well, that's just awesome. We feel so fortunate to have met up with you, and I'm planning on reading some of your books too. So.
Вікторія, мені потрібна допомога трошки.
Так, звісно. Він розказував, як він тільки що з такої великої конференції вернувся з Вашингтону, називається Worldcon, і воно там найголовніші там книжки фантастики, і обговорюються, і автори приїжджають, і дуже багато експертів в таких літературних сферах. Вони там зустрічаються, щоб обговорити, які нові книжки варті дати їм більше увагу. І він мав можливість на одному тому на такій розмові говорити про вашу книжку, що стосується до Східної Європи, і які автори починають звідти більші книжки видавати, що треба ще їх прочитати, то він про вашу говорив. І надіється, що розмова від того ще більше піде. І він ще зустрівся з 2 авторами, що пишуть таку статтю про авторів з Східної Європи і українських, і російських, і вони шукають, щоб в англійському перекладі була книжка. І він рекомендував, щоб вони вашу книжку про неї написали, і надіється, що це більше людей через то будуть знати. І думаю, що це вийде. То.
Ну і що він також працює над статтею, чи допомагає в статті, де специфічно про українських авторів фантастики. І Алекс постарався, щоб ваше ім'я туди включити.
Супер.
I don't know if it's just me, but sorry. Your audio starts good and then it declines. Yeah.
Mine or Oleg's?
Yours.
Mine.
Alexander.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know what it was.
So
Since
Alex,
we're not in the
pleasure meeting
CNN, we're not in the CNN studio, so we can't control all these inputs. And Alex, you're coming to Boscone, which it's exciting. We all get together.
That's right. Yeah, this year BosCon is going to have a track of panels about translation, and we hope that multiple translators will be invited onto onto this track. I still haven't heard from them, even though the deadline was supposed to be end of August. But science fiction conventions are not known for their punctuality.
It's a little bit loosey-goosey, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable to wait a little longer, and then I will poke the con chair and kind of get her to poke the programming team so we can hear sooner.
So maybe Marina can be.
Yeah, I gave her name to them. So it's just a matter of I gave them a list of names to send invitations to, and but also I'm not on the committee. I'm just an advisor. So what they do is up to them. But basically, they asked me to be on the committee, and I'm like, no. I don't want to be a con runner. That's a very difficult job. I just want to show up and be on the panel and say interesting things, hopefully, and that's it.
Yeah. So, Victoria, is that translatable?
Yes. Так. Він ще розказав про ще одну подію, яка буде ставатися, мені здається, досить... Wait, Alex, can I just ask you a clarifying question? When is the
I can also just say this in
happening?
Russian. I can translate the whole thing in Russian.
Yes, let's get Alex.
Yes, sure.
Я, Олег, я рассказывал о конвенте в Бостоне, который называется BosCon, где мы все встретимся. На этом конвенте в первый раз будет целая программа о переводах, и они меня попросили предложить им разных авторов, разных переводчиков, которых они должны пригласить, и я включил и вашу переводчицу. But at least теперь мы только ждем их ответа. Я надеюсь, что они все сделают так, как обещали, и, скорее всего, так и будет. И это будет хороший конвент, и много будет возможностей рассказать об украинских переводах и о вашей книге специфически.
Супер. Спасибо огромное. Спасибо. Вот. Щось у мене картинка підвисла трошки.
Алекс, ви нас розумієте, коли ми розмовляємо, правильно?
Трошки. My Ukrainian is very, very poor. When Victoria speaks quickly, it's hard for me to understand. But when it's spoken slowly, I understand 50-60% of it. So
Wow.
my Ukrainian is only school learned. So I have maybe like 2 years of Ukrainian. That's it, because nobody spoke it in Odessa when I was growing up. And by the time it became okay to speak Ukrainian there, we already left.
В таком случае можно говорить одесским языком, и тогда будет все понятно.
Языком юмора лучше всего.
Да.
And when I was in Ukraine in 1992, they taught us Russian classes. You know, it wasn't Ukrainian, but I learned a couple words.
Well, it was the imperial thing for them to do, to try and crush all the languages other than the Russian language and crush all the cultures other than the Russian culture. And at the time, we didn't even know about this. Like, I mean, I didn't get to examine that until I was much older. So it's just a very nefarious thing.
Shit, I'm gonna translate. So, okay. Перепрошую. Так, то Шарлот розказувала, як вона їздила в Україну в 92-му році, що там українською не розмовляли російською. І Алекс додав, що вже коли почали українську вчити, це було тоді, коли вже всі виїхали з Одеси, і коли він особисто виїхав, то він так і не вчив, але він розуміє десь 50%, що ми говоримо. То
я добре пам'ятаю це все, тому що якраз моя школа прийшлася на ще радянські роки. От я пішов до школи в 81-му році, тож всі ці брежнівські теми, Брежнєв, Андропов, Черненко, Горбачов, це я все дуже добре пам'ятаю. От, і я пам'ятаю, як у нас в школі був лише один раз на тиждень урок української мови і урок української літератури. Причому це було таке собі дуже, як то кажуть, бігле ізучення, поверхностне очень. Мені було трошки простіше. У мене, я вже розповідав колись, зараз розкажу просто Алексу. У мене завжди в сім'ї говорили двома мовами. У мене батько був російськомовний, а мати україномовна. І тому в мене в сім'ї завжди говорили двома мовами, тому мені дуже легко було переключатися з однієї на іншу. Це було досить просто. Хоча у мене, от якщо згадати так, то весь наш двір, він розмовляв такою, це не можна назвати російською мовою, тому що це була така дуже специфічна версія, одеська версія. От. У нас було дуже багато євреїв, і вони привносили свої якісь такі дуже, дуже прикольні вирази. Це досить цікава така версія. Це не можна назвати російською мовою. От, взагалі не можна. І про це дуже багато писала в Твіттері Анна, можливо, ви знаєте, Анна Одесітка, вона підписана. От, дуже цікаво, вона з нею дуже цікаво спілкуватися. Вона дуже багато писала про одеську мову. У неї багато публікацій було, особливо в 23-му, на початку 24-го року. От.
Це мова Бабеля.
Бабель, це... Да.
Somebody want to give us the
Я
gist
навіть
of
не
that?
знала, що... я навіть не знала, що воно так настільки відрізняється, насправді.
Вона насправді відрізняється. І вона відрізняється, до речі, від тієї одеської мови, яку ми бачимо в російських серіалах. Тому що в російських серіалах там мова більше вигадана. Там сценарісти заради приколу, заради якогось там, щоб притягнути глядачів, вони там вигадують якісь такі вирази, яких насправді, я не знаю, я не чув прям от в такому вигляді, як воно є в серіалах. Вона відрізняється, вона більш плавна, більш м'яка, більше м'якого гумору. Там немає такої агресії, яка, агресивного юмору немає. Хоча от коли дивишся там, свого часу, коли виходили російські серіали, які розповідали про Одесу, там не такий гумор. Він якийсь більш як з московським напливом, а він не такий. Ну, я не чув, принаймні в моєму оточенні такого не було. От, мені дуже подобається от старої Одеси, і я виріс на Молдаванці, народився і виріс. Моє дитинство пройшло там в різних районах, знов-таки старої Одеси. І, чесно, я не чув от саме такої версії, як ми бачимо в серіалах. Вона має бути більш живою, більш м'якого гумору, доброго гумору. От.
I can jump in. I have some experience studying large chunks. I've been a professional
Large chunks.
in the past.
I can hear things like Odessa and Andropov.
And I also have a personal connection.
Андропов був зовсім трошки там.
Me, Alex,
Brezhnev.
I didn't want to cut him off when he was talking so lovely.
Yeah, I know. When I did it in person,
I didn't want to cut him off because he was talking so nice.
And he would continue anyways, and I'd keep helping.
Oh,
It's amazing.
it's hard to find a good moment to translate. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a little bit of personal
Understand.
connection. I'm about the same age.
Oh,
But I guess
yeah,
I'll first
go ahead.
translate Oleg. So Oleg went to school in 1981, so still at the height of Soviet, and we still got to study Brezhnev, and then Andropov, and then Chernenko.
Горбачов, перестройка, все
The
те,
whole sequence, because I lived through it in school as well. And he said that in school, he only had lesson of Ukrainian language once a week, and then once a week of Ukrainian literature. And that was extremely superficial. But he was fortunate in that at home, it was bilingual. His dad spoke Russian and his mom spoke Ukrainian. So he did have the capacity to go back and forth between the two languages. So he had that advantage. And then as he's thinking to the courtyard of the building where he grew up, because all the kids would go and play outside, they were all speaking Russian. And yet, because Odessa has its, so then the big long exposition about Odessa's unique language, and that's something I can relate to from my personal experience, but to come back to translation is Odessa, of course, has a large Jewish population. So there is this very unique turn of phrase that is brought by all the Russian-speaking kids who are Jewish. And then Oleg gave this very beautiful presentation about how this unique Odessa language cannot really be called Russian, even though on the surface it seems as it's Russian. But it has this uniqueness because it's so influenced by both Ukrainian and Yiddish, and probably also Romanian, less called Moldavian Romanian, because that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are some probably also other regional influences. There are some smaller ethnic groups as well. But obviously Ukrainian and Yiddish are, I guess Oleg didn't quite name them, but he did name all of his Jewish friends. And then the really interesting point that Oleg made is because Odessa is known for its humor, for its very unique culture, and some of it culture, he didn't say that, I'm adding this for myself, as can be perceived as gangster culture, like as kind of clever swindlers. That's the image of an Odessa character in Soviet movies. So it's there are a lot of Russian TV serials that are featuring all of these Odessa characters. But Oleg, as a native who grew up in all of these famous neighborhoods, Moldavanka is a big famous one that I'm aware of, having visited Odessa as a child, is that in Russian serials, they are aiming to portray Odessa language, but it's harsh and cruel. And his experience of the so-called Russian, but again, let's call it Odessan language, which I guess has outer characteristics of Russian, that it's softer, gentler, that it's kind of humor. So I really appreciate that part. And my grandmother is from Berdyansk, which is another seaside town.
Berdyansk.
Berdyansk, it's on the Azov Sea. Really, really magical place. Beautiful, warm sea, sandy beaches. Oh my God, amazing. And my grandmother was a beach kid, and her grandparents owned a vineyard. But me and her traveled to Odessa a fair number when I was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, so I have some exposure to it.
Do you need a translation, Oleg?
До початку повномасштабного вторгнення, але вже під час війни, коли у нас були оці дитячі спектаклі, з якими ми їздили по Україні, до речі, одне з міст це було Бердянськ. Я пам'ятаю, як ми приїхали туди о 2-й ночі, і нам зовсім не хотілося спати. І ми пішли там гуляти. Ну, таке досить цікаве враження від місця. І до нас просто підходили, ну, можливо, я не знаю, можливо, тому що у нас були футболки там з цими наклейками театру, там, тому дуже багато людей просто підходили, там, намагались завести якусь розмову. Це у мене склалося враження, що це дуже таке дружнє місто. І ви знаєте, мабуть, публіка в Бердянську мені запам'яталася більш за все. У мене десь є відео навіть, там було те, чого не було в інших містах України. Навіть в Одесі, де у нас були аншлаги прямо з самого початку на прем'єрі. Що мене вразило в Бердянську, це коли у нас такий музичний інтерактивний спектакль був для дітей, і діти просто піднімалися, виходили в проходи, зовсім незнайомі між собою діти, бралися за руки, починали там кружляти, танцювати, там такі дуже відкрита публіка, прямо з перших хвилин спектакля. В інших містах, наприклад, там Запоріжжя, Дніпро, Кривий Ріг, там трошечки треба було на розкачку. Десь вони там хвилин 10-15 сиділи, вони там дивилися на своїх батьків, там чи можна встати, чи не можна, там можна руками махати, чи не можна. Вони такі всі такі серйозні були. А в Бердянську просто з самого початку піднімаються такі живі, такі прям яскраві. Ну,
так що це до лютого 23-го року, до повномасштабної.
Це було до повномасштабки, так.
Okay, so let me sum that up. So because I share that my grandmother is from Berdansk, Oleg has very fond memories from his theater performing. So they had musical theater with children's spectacles. And they brought it to Berdansk, which again is another seaside town, and they arrived late. The atmosphere was such they didn't feel like sleeping. They went walking around at 2 a.m. and it's warm, it's seaside. But the most impressive thing for him was the warmth of the people. That they had T-shirts with the theater logo. People would come up to them, start conversations, start talking. And then when they were performing their performance, it's musical theater for kids, he said that Beryansk had something that no other city in Ukraine he has experienced, in that kids would stand up and start dancing. They were so responsive, so interactive. Like in other places when they performed, they would have to kind of jumpstart the audience. They have to put in some effort to get them going, to get them to connect, to get them to respond. And somehow in Berdansk, it just happened spontaneously. There was this natural warmth. So he has the fondest memories from their performances there before the latest phase of the war started, because currently Berdansk is occupied.
Yeah, so it's like a Berdansk mosh pit.
Це коли на концертах ціла група людей збирається і підкидають один одного.
I wanted to just get, others a chance to speak. So, Crystal, do you want to, or Milu?
And Victoria, back to you for translation. Sorry for upstaging.
No, you're doing so well. Thank you.
It's a collaborative effort.
Absolutely.
Crystal, do you want to unmute and just say hello?
Okay. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. I've known Charlotte since undergraduate in Seattle, Washington, where she just finished a German degree and I was doing theater, and we've been friends ever since. Let's see. So I live in France. I was an English teacher. I'm currently retired, and I became very interested with the war and all in Ukrainian existence and civilization, and followed the Tim Snyder course at Yale, just trying to understand what Ukraine was and where it came from. I don't speak any Ukrainian. I tried to follow a couple lessons. I wouldn't, being interested in languages, I wouldn't be against a group that wanted to do beginning Ukrainian. you know, just because I'm kind of a nerd like that. So I read Oleg's book and as a manuscript, and now I've found my copy that's a book, and I've just read the last 4 chapters. I was interested to the video that you played at the beginning, Charlotte, where he talks about how children see the character Lisa as kind of a gateway personality into their own experience of the war. And I kind of like the psychology of that. I've not read a lot of fantasy. I have read all the Harry Potter and some different things. So is any questions for me? Yeah, I do know Alexandra. I will say, I'm sorry. I know Alexandra. Charlotte and Alexandra and I did kind of book group where I just read a book. Well, I read Gulag Archipelago, by Solzhenitsyn to try to get a handle on. I was in a book club at the American Library in Paris about Russia. We were all reading about Ukraine. Let's see. Then I just did a book on the Mongol Empire to kind of try to understand the civilizations and who the Ukrainian people are. I don't know. I feel so bad about what's happening. I don't know. It's just awful. So
and I've read The Horde following your example, or I listened to it on audio. I feel like I have to read it again because it's huge,
It's dense. It's interesting because it's written by a French academic woman, and it's recent. It's based on a lot of recent research that she got her hands on. So it was.
But it was amazing to hear how they traded with the Europe and the West and all those.
I feel inspired to take that book on.
Я
тільки перекладу останній кінець, що нас троє, Шарлотта, Кристал і я якийсь час зустрічалися в онлайні, розмовляли про книжки, які ми читаємо на тематику. І Кристал нас мобілізувала, Шарлотта вже її прослухала, а я ще ні, книжку, яка називається «Орда». І це про татаро-монгольський період історії, написаний французькою професоркою. І надзвичайно глибинне дослідження на нових матеріалах. І я ще його не почала читати, але це плана.
Оця тема монголо-татарського нашестя мені дуже цікава була ще з молодших класів. У мене тато дуже полюбляв історію, і він завжди мені підсовував історичні книжки. Тому...
As luck would have it, Oleg finds the theme of the Mongol Empire extremely compelling because his dad was a history buff and always gave him historical books. So he really feels fascinated by the topic.
Yeah, it is. Exactly. Thank you.
Maybe he'll have to join our book group.
Каже, вам треба приєднатися до нашої групи, яка обговорює ці книжки.
Oh, you don't have anything else to do you, Oleg?
Олеже, у вас багато вільного часу, правда?
І до війни його не було, а зараз таке.
Even before the war, it was scarce, and now it just is.
Oh, I'm going to translate the other thing that Crystal said about the video. I think Oleg will find interesting. Crystal ще розказувала, як вона ще подружилася з Шарлотом ще в інституті, коли Шарлот вчила німецьку, а Крислов вивчала французьку. І її завжди дуже мова цікавила, і як вона про війну здійснилася в Україні вона відчула цей конфлікт, і вона потім, як знайшла вашу книжку, прочитала, і всю прочитала, і їй було дуже якось це цікаво, це все докупи склеювати. І особливо вас не було ще, але я показувала відео спочатку, яке я приготувала на ці збори, яка була про не те, що ми з вами говорили, а я інакше щось зробила, але ви розказували, як діти, які читали ці книжки, такі бібліотеки були в Румунії і в Німеччині, Не знаю, чи ви пам'ятаєте, розказували, і що ці діти такий паралель вели між собою і Лізою, і її подорож, і її дуже Кристал цікавило оцю психологію, і як ви таке написали, що діти ще й таке, настільки важке події, вони могли якось знайти в історії таку якусь теплість, і я трошки додаю до того, що вона каже, але в тому вся річ, і це вона просто розказує, як це їй було дуже цікаво, що вона таких не читала книжок і не бачила, що це фантастика, особливо дитяча, це робила настільки.
Ну і вам також цікаво буде почути, що Кристал живе в Франції і раніше була вчителькою англійської мови у Франції, а тепер на пенсії. І спочатку була членом книжкового клубу, де читали книжки. Здавалося б про Росію, але виявилося, що вони були насправді про Україну. І одна з книжок була Архіпелаг чи Солженіцина, а тепер вона читає більше про Україну і зацікавлена, можливо, був би клуб початкової української мови.
Останнє не почув, звук щось приглушився.
Висловила інтерес до клубу початкової української мови.
О, супер. Це дуже круто.
Crystal, I mentioned that you expressed interest in studying beginning Ukrainian, and I like that very excited.
Стосовно Франції, тут у нас якось в Твіттері зайшла розмова, там є Ольга, з якою ми спілкуємось, переписуватись почали доволі недавно, і їй було особливо приємно почути, що в історії Одеси насправді дуже багато спільного з Францією. Французькі архітектори займалися забудовою міста, і у нас самі прекрасні архітектурні пам'ятки це проєктувалися французами і європейськими архітекторами. Тому у нас дуже багато спільної історії, це дуже круто. Одеса більш ніж інші міста України пов'язана з Європою насправді. Чи то через портове місто, чи то через унікальних людей, таку суміш всіх народів. Не знаю,
А Ольга мешкає у Франції, так?
Так, Ольга француженка.
So Oleg made a connection through Twitter with a woman named Olga living in France. So we had lovely conversations about how Odessa is way more connected with Europe than other Ukrainian cities. And all the prominent architectural monuments in Odessa are by French architects. So this connection with France is very palpable for him as an Odessa native.
Nice. I was just, I put the Google Translate conversation thing on. It's a little bit delayed, but it's not too bad, It's like, I went to a Ukrainian concert, the band anyway here. And they gave a talk to promote their fundraising for 30 minutes before the music started. So I put this on and I could kind of tell what they were talking about. But,
Hey, Charlotte, why don't you put that reference in the chat? Do you mind doing that?
I sure will. Yep. For the Google Translate thing?
Yeah.
Okay, it's really kind of
access
cool
it.
Because, and then it translates my English back into Ukrainian because it's a conversational thing.
So you use the Google Translate against the speaker from the computer as the target language is
it's just happening. The speaker, it hears what is being said, and then it translates. You use a conversation mode.
Okay.
I think a lot of the volunteers in Ukraine are using that because, like Oleg, Felicity mentions that in her book, Red and War. She mentions Google Translate. And you want to tell him?
Felicity?
Felicity Spector.
Про використання автоперекладача чи комп'ютерного гуглівського перекладача, власне, волонтерами під час війни. І пані Фелисиді у своїй книжці «Хліб і війна» розповідає, власне, як волонтер ним багато користуються.
Felicity, я пам'ятаю це, коли у нас була перша зустріч. Ну, було трошки простіше, тому що поряд були люди, які вільно могли говорити англійською, тому вони перекладали при зустрічі завжди. От,
Oleg has a good memory of meeting.
але
And there were people who were helping, so it was a bit simpler.
Але коли ми зустрічалися в Києві з полковниками, полковник Монте і Чарльз, я не пам'ятаю вже прізвище, то ми використовували перекладачі такі.
Yeah, and he also recalls using these translation gizmo when we're meeting with military commanders.
Це, можливо, ви знаєте, вони себе називають мандруючі полковники. Це двоє американських колишніх військових. Вони дуже багато з першого дня війни допомагають. Ну, вони здебільшого допомагають аптечками, медициною, тобто такими речами.
Two retired American military guys who gave themselves moniker traveling colonels.
Я колись розміщав навіть наші спільні фото. Ми в Києві зустрічалися з ними. Здається мені, що ми з Шарлот вже спілкувалися на той час, коли я почав.
So I met them at the beginning of the war, and maybe around the time. But these two guys, they travel the world. They help a lot in Ukraine, primarily with medical type supplies.
Right. I wanted to see if Milu has anything you want to present, and then Dasha is our wonderful artist, and we'll have her come on in a minute. She's got some big news.
Yes, I want to say hi to everybody. Oleg, tell him it's a pleasure to see him and a relief, because after all have been happening, I'm glad that he is safe. I wanted you to tell him that.
Дуже приємно вас бачити, Олеже, і також дуже просить переказати, як їй відлягло від серця, коли вона вас бачить, що ви є в безпеці, тому що переживає.
Ну, у нас, да, я уявляю, і мені дуже, ну, дехто пише про те, що коли я там, ну, люди читають в Твіттері, вони бачать оновлення збору, і для когось це просто такий пункт, що все добре, все нормально, там ми виїхали, тому що, ну, я рідко говорю про те, чим ми займаємось, коли ми там.
Yeah, Oleg says that he really gets it, because when he posts fundraising appeals, when he comes back to Connection and checks and says collection renewed, people get it, okay, he's safe. So he gets it that people are following him, really, like, because he can't really talk about the stuff a lot of he's doing.
Yeah, the other thing I want to share is I learned 3 words in Ukrainian. The two first ones, Slava Ukraini, Yaroslava. And the other one is Yaku. And I learned exactly, little by little, I've been catching a lot of words and everything. It's so, you know, it's familiar to me now. It's just little by little.
Вже стає знайомим, помаленьку.
Yeah.
And Milu is from Venezuela, so she knows a little bit about national turmoil, I think.
Так що Мілу походить з Венесуели, так що дуже добре знайома з всякими перетурбаціями в країні.
Yeah, last night I was in the postcap talking about Venezuela, the situation that's going on over there. And I was telling everybody that I don't feel good. I don't have a good feeling about this thing, because there's a lot of dark stuff behind stage for this. Yeah. So hopefully I'm just going to keep praying then stay the way it is and not going further. Because I'm afraid that what Trump wants with this is support Putin and his oil supply. He's interested in Venezuela oil only, nothing else. So,
вчора розповідала людям про ситуацію в Венесуелі, і що дуже переживає за тим, тому що так виглядає, що багато темних сил, які за тим стоять, І в зв'язку з тим, що Венесуела має багато нафтових резервів, що зовнішні сили, в тому числі американські, трампістські, хочуть якось це підключитися. Це страшно.
I want to get to Dasha because she has some big news, I think, right? Or I don't know if you're ready to talk about that, but let me first run this video that she gave me.
Ну, поки ми розмовляли, то я трошечки тут вже доробила, маю трошки інакший вигляд та картина.
Я показав
Я
ті
спішу.
маленькі фрагменти, які ви надсилали до того, показав своїй доньці. Вона ж в мене була, ну, вона за фахом художник-гример, і, ну, тобто все, що пов'язано з художніми штуками, це для неї дуже
Ну, я
важливо.
розумію, так.
Вона просто в захваті була від всього, що вона побачила, і дуже хоче побачити, коли воно буде готово вже в повному.
Ну,
So two important pieces
я
for us.
думаю, що
That
декілька
Dasha
днів.
already worked while we're speaking. She continues working, and the image has evolved. And then the other important piece, Oleg's daughter is a makeup artist, so extremely artistic, cares about visual beauty. And he showed Dasha's work to his daughter, and his daughter totally loved it. Thought it was fabulous. So it was this great meeting of artistic minds.
I think it's kind of a dream sequence of the characters and settings from Tales of the Wandering Mists. So wonderful. Yeah.
Я думаю, що декілька днів я закінчу то вже, бо я вже на фінішній прямій. Мені вже лишилося не дуже багато елементів тут закінчити. І я думаю, що я закінчу за декілька днів.
In a few days.
Dasha thinks, yeah, she'll be done in a few days, just a few little elements.
But did you want to say anything about your plans, Dasha?
Які ваші наступні плани?
Ну, так сталося, що ми маємо переїхати зараз в іншу країну. Це дуже несподівано, але ми їдемо. Я маю план заїхати в Україну, бо в мене там діти і онуки. Маю їх там навістити. І, нічого не змінилося, всі творчі плани так і лишилися. Я буду працювати над обкладинкою Олеже. Це я вже це запланувала собі, що поки я буду летіти, це дуже довгий час. Я собі вже відклала той альбомчик, в якому я буду малювати, і то в мене буде творчий час. Поки я буду летіти, то буде моя творча відпустка.
So the
Саме
good
про
news is
вашу
that none of the
обкладинку.
creative plans are changed. Dasha is committed to continue working. Now, on the practical side of life, unexpectedly, she has to move to another country. So she already set up her album, her sketchbook where she is going to work because it's a long flight. So she's all said, well, I'll have the time and space to work even though there is this upheaval. But along the way, she's planning to stop by Ukraine and visit her children and grandchildren. And in the meantime, she's moving countries. She didn't expect that to happen, but creative plans continue on track.
Шарлот,
Шарлота, нема звуку.
мікрофон.
You're muted.
Yeah, Charlotte.
Немає
Charlotte,
звуку.
we don't hear you.
Okay, I did that thing, the mute thing. Kelly, you're muted too, but I wanted to kind of introduce you as. So Kelly is our. I picked out her title in the book project. It's Fairy Book Mother. So
Whatever.
this describes her role perfectly. Because she has.
Келлі особлива посада. Стараюся покласти. Це чарівна хресна мама книжки. Мама чарівниця. Хресна мама чарівниця.
Такі.
Oleg agrees with that, though it's a little bit tricky to translate.
Yeah.
It's hard to put in English words too, Oleg.
По-англійськи важко покласти це на слова також.
So I have to say that Kelly
І в самій книжці також багато є фрагментів, які складно перекласти. Але ж ви
Because the book
впораєтесь з цим.
itself has all of those hard to put into words elements.
Особливо там, де йде гра слів, там, де Ліза щось не розуміє і її починають пояснювати.
Especially there are these pieces
Непрості
that don't
моменти.
understand what's going on, and there's play on words, and then others try to explain it to her.
Yeah.
А в
I'm
другій
wondering if
книжці назви також вони непрості. Я знаю, що ви з Мариною там зробили якусь велику роботу. Марина мені досить часто писала там, а що мається на увазі тут, що мається на увазі тут. Бо всі назви, всі імена, вони не просто там взяти, тому що вони гарно звучать, а в кожному є певні сенси закладені. І кожне ім'я, воно несе певний сенс.
So especially in the second book, all the names are picked not because they just sound nice, but because they carry within them layers of meanings. So Oleg is aware that Marina and you have been working hard to get to the essence of it, because Marina keeps writing to him, what did exactly you mean? What are these extra layers? To make sure that this words gets.
It's been a fascinating process.
I'm not sure if Victoria might have a better audio than, I can't hear you too well, Alexandra.
A bummer.
Yeah, I know. It kind of crackles out or something like that. But we're getting to chapter 3, but we can go as long as we want.
I'm sorry that I'm late popping in, but I just want to take a quick second to say, Alex, it's great to see you, and so appreciate just the visibility, your voice, your vibe of support with this has been really energizing for the whole team. And likewise, Dasha, your beautiful artwork has just given this other whole, neat energy. We keep checking in about it and look forward to seeing how that continues to go to completion. But it's just everything knits together just in such a neat way. And I can't say enough fabulous about Victoria. I'm loving working with her and sort of the background of things too. So thank you everybody for all the different roles. Everybody supports in their own ways.
Any last words from anyone?
Я не все зрозумів, тому мені потрібно.
Ну, що наскільки цінно спостерігати за роботою Даші, наскільки співучасть у процесі, і наскільки Келлі тішиться, що Алекс тут, тому що його підтримка проєкту відчутна, і вона дуже це цінить, і приємно побачитися на цій зустрічі.
Келлі мені, коли вони почали спілкуватися з Алексом, вона мені написала дуже багато слів хороших, і було дуже приємно. Отже, так, заочно ми вже знайомі були.
So Kelly, Oleg really appreciates all you wrote to him about your connection with Alex. So even though they haven't met directly, he really feels palpable the connections through you.
And the cool thing is we all are going to meet up with Alex, Kelly, Marina, me, Victoria, and the other interns in February at Boscone. So,
And see, Alex, you don't realize when I first came across your name, and I was actually looking for Yevon Lair's book is what it was, and you had promoted him as an author from a while back. The first thing I did is I wrote Oleg, because I saw you were from Odessa. I wrote Oleg privately, and I was like, Oleg, do you know this person? Like, you know, I'm from Richmond, Virginia, and you know, people think anyone from Richmond, you probably know them, and of course there's, you know, hundreds of thousands of people. But anyway, I was so excited. Just the connection seemed like there might be something there, while there wasn't actually already one. What an amazing thing that has been created. And I mean, I get goosebumps. I get kind of silly about these things, but the book keeps doing stuff like that. It just brings these really neat elements together, just like the story itself. And just wait till book 2.
This is what books do.
you know, they won't let me read book 2 until it's fully, the translation is fully polished. So, you know, so Kelly, Oleg, and Victoria know much more than I do about.
We just like teasing her. Really, we could let her read it now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Знов не все зрозумів, тому...
Келі страшенно тішиться, що спершу вона каже, що Алекс не знає, що як тільки вона побачила його ім'я і побачила, що він з Одеси, як вона відразу написала вам, тобто ще до її зустрічі з Алексом, я вже відчула, що щось в цьому є особливого, і що в неї є відчуття, що книжка має ту магічну властивість створювати ці от зв'язки навіть поза кадром.
Мені взагалі дуже подобається, коли люди можуть знаходити якісь спільні такі моменти і об'єднуватись, з'єднуватись. Ну, мені це дуже подобається. Сам цей процес, я від цього відчуваю якусь таку енергію дуже круту.
Moments of connection and overlap and how things fit together, and somehow the energy of that is very special and intense in a good way.
I'm sure that we have many points of connection in common. I've actually translated some authors from Odessa, including Anna Mikhailevskaya. I don't know if you know her. And I work with a lot of other authors across Ukraine, and I'm sure that some of them have read you, and you've certainly read some of them as well.
Алекс, скажите, пожалуйста, по-русски тоже.
Я переведу сам, что я уверен, что у нас есть много точек, которые нас соединяют вместе. Я переводил работы одесских писателей, включая Анну Михайлевскую, писателей-фантастов. И я работал с другими многими украинскими писателями, которые или, возможно, читали вас, и, скорее всего, возможно, вы читали их работу также.
С Михайлевской, по-моему, мы плотно там переписывали в Фейсбуке. И если мне не изменяет память, может быть, мне кажется, или она была у меня на презентации книги в арт-холле на Гоголя. Это было как раз вот где-то за полгода до начала полномасштабного вторжения. Или она должна была прийти. Вот я уже не помню. Такое ощущение, что это вообще в другой жизни что-то происходило.
So one of the authors that Alex has translated.
Михайлевская вообще очень интересная такая персона.
Oleg has corresponded with her on Facebook quite intensely. And he's pretty sure she has attended one of his book presentations about half a year before the war started, but it seemed like such a completely different life and different time and different warp that he thinks it might have happened, but it precedes the current state.
Before we go out, and I'll probably play us out with this video that Victoria did, the voiceover, but I wanted to mention that we now have been nominated, or Oleg's book is nominated for the shortlist, or is won the shortlist of the Chanticleer Ozma Book Awards, which is a pretty well-known fantasy science fiction awards program and review organization. So that's just really cool. You know, it's just, it makes us feel so good. Whether or not we get to the finals, you know, it's a real feather in our cap, and it shows that the book is being taken seriously. So that's one really nice thing.
Так що хороша новина, що нашу книжку, тобто всіх нас представили на нагороду, відому нагороду в жанрі фантастики, і ми вже в тому фінальному раунді. І навіть якщо ми не виграємо нагороди, то все одно це є ознакою того, що нас приймають серйозно, нас бачать, нас чують, і це дуже приємно.
Yeah, because it's like you're so involved in this project, and the words and the nitty gritty of, you know, the lines and the dashes and dots, and you kind of don't know if it's just you're so invested in it that you love it.
Коли працюєш над проєктом, ти настільки в ньому занурений, що ти повністю в ньому і не бачиш, що за тим.
So it's nice to get the outside.
Well, it's kind of silly. We get so deep in the process of things that, like, we just got a great review on Amazon the other day, and it's like you kind of forget there's people out there, and you know, we have to remember to go and look for those things and talk them up, because you know we're moving along another process. But you know, for everybody that can help nudge other people to read, to review, comment on it places, not only is it a huge boost for us, obviously, but that helps to sell the books, and the more the books go, the more we're supporting Oleg and, you know, everything that's flowing from the book. But it is kind of funny that we'll forget, and then something will happen, like, oh yeah, we've got this really cool
People
thing
really like this.
and because I know, you know, Chanticleer and Rooster, which is also obviously their icon. So I post sugar roosters on a stick because I learned that through one of Oleg's other essay writings, and it's just a dear thing to me. And like, no one on the team even understood my reference. Oh, yeah, well, so much for my humor. Maybe I'm Odessan at heart. I've got a funny sense of humor.
So,
I really appreciated, Alexandra, I really appreciated the discussion earlier. I was listening. I just was in transit back home and I couldn't participate. But what y'all were talking about kind of nuances of Odessa language and stuff, I just eat the stuff up. Love it. So.
Келі каже, що теж надзвичайно, власне, цінить, що є, що те саме, що Шарлота каже, що коли занурюєшся в процес, то не забуваєш про те, що є зовнішній світ, що є люди, які щось про це читають, які щось про це думають, які пишуть відгуки, і що вона настільки занурена в образ книжки, що починає виставляти тих півників лідінцових. А каже, інші люди навіть не розуміють, каже, видно, я вже одеситка в душі. І коли вона слухала нашу розмову про одеську мову по дорозі, вона це дуже-дуже цінить. I have a piece I want to bring to the team. I've been extremely busy, one thing after another. And a couple of weeks ago, I needed to pick my husband from the airport late at night. And I needed to stop somewhere because I was running between appointments. So I look up a coffee shop open at 10 p.m. in Sacramento. And I've been running around. The first thing I need to do is go to the bathroom. And right outside the bathroom, somebody's in there, so I have to wait. There's a giant poster board. And in the poster board, there is a printed out poster of Oleg's book saying, writer from Ukraine. I took a snapshot of it. I was busy. I was running to the airport. But it's right there. The only reason I was in that coffee shop, it was late. It was open at 10 p.m. at night. And there was a poster on the poster board outside the bathroom talking about Oleg and his book. Олеже, я вам хочу розказати, що моє життя останнім часом було дуже напружене. Я їхала в аеропорт зустрічати чоловіка пізно ввечері, треба було знайти десь, де посидіти, почекати. Дивлюся, де є кава відчинена, 10 година ночі. Йду, треба в туалет, забігаю, хтось в туалеті, мушу чекати. Глиб, коло туалету висить велика дошка оголошень, і на тій дошці оголошень плакат з оголошенням про вашу книжку, як автор з України, військовий, пише фантастику, приєднуйтесь. Я то швидко сфоткала, я пришлю. І побігла далі, тому що треба було в аеропорт, як це все впадає.
It's just, you're world famous, Oleg.
He is, because
He is.
I have Amazon Prime. And
Yeah.
one day I was looking for something, the first thing pop up, it was the picture of the book. I said, oh my gosh, look at this in Amazon.
Та на
Nice.
Амазоні має членство в тому членському клубі Prime, і там вискочило повідомлення про вашу книжку.
Yeah. And
Minu, you could help us actually if you go to Amazon and you see there's like 9 or so reviews. If you'll read those reviews and click that they're helpful, that just helps
Yeah.
put things
Mhm.
out there. So if you have a moment
Yeah.
to go back and look at the book,
Yeah.
and just do that every now and again. If there's a new review, that seems to be, it's like liking stuff on.
Yeah, I
Twitter,
would do
guess.
it. I would take a screenshot and
Yeah.
share it in Twitter.
That's
And
even though
just
we,
liking the review on Amazon, like there's a button to say that it's helpful. I think that's what it is. Helpful. If you just tell it that it's helpful, that helps
Mhm.
those people. That
I
write.
will do that. Sure, I will
you.
do that. The other
even
thing
though
is,
Amazon is the company we love to hate, right?
yeah, exactly.
Alex
I
knows.
know, I know. It's not
But,
my
you know, the
favorite
other
thing.
one, we're on also Kobo and Bookshop. Bookshop.org is a wonderful place. They give a portion of their proceeds to independent bookstores. So, you can identify the bookstore that you want to benefit. But the other thing that we don't have enough to do, so we decided to run a Kickstarter for an audiobook. Right, Kelly? Here we go. You're on mute, but you can tell them about it.
It's okay, so Charlotte reached out to these folks, got a copy of the book. They're just people that she had known through the publishing world. And that was that. They happened to read the book, and they both, husband and wife team, fell in love with it, and it moved them. And I think the idea had been put out there to them, like, consider, would you, maybe consider something like this for an audiobook at some point in time. They were so taken by it. They generated 2 full chapters as samples. I have goosebumps even just retelling it. I've told it I don't know how many times. But so they took the first 2 chapters, and they didn't just the 2 of them do the characters. It's like full soundscape, because they were so bowled over by the story. They said that was the only way to do it justice. So I don't know, it's about 11:30 at night, I guess. Charlotte had sent the email out with these samples that had, just dropped into her inbox. And Marina and I are texting each other, late at night as we're listening to them, like, oh my gosh, it was just so overwhelming. So we can hardly wait to put some samples out there for others to hear. They are going to develop book 1 into a full soundscape audiobook, and that's what the Kickstarter will be about. And we have to follow book 2 that way too. I mean, it's just fabulous. And I have to tell I think I've confessed to a couple people, this isn't my genre at all. I just love Oleg, and that was kind of how I started following along. But man, I had gotten so pulled into this, and with the second book too, which is just extra layers upon layers in relation to this one. The audiobook samples, I can hardly wait for us to put them out there as a bit of a teaser. But the Kickstarter's ton of work, but it's going. And Page Vox.
Yeah, Page Vox. Ryan Page and Aura, they're a husband-wife team, and I met them through the Independent Publishers of New England, where we're going with Oleg's book this fall to several book shows. And they spoke at our conference, but they're just the most delightful couple, a young couple. Then, just piling on more layers of wonderfulness on this project. So.
Олеже, я думаю, що ви в курсі про, власне, цю звукову версію і про оголошення збору на звукову версію, наскільки цей чоловік з дружиною, котрі за це взялися, наскільки вони захопилися вашою книжкою, наскільки ті зразки, які вони зробили, вони багатогранні, багатопланові. І всі
мені дуже сподобались ці зразки. Я і доньці свої переслав. Я кажу, тільки слухай в наушниках. Так, щоб ніхто нічого не заважав. Да? Очі закрила, наушники і слухаєш.
And I sent them to my daughter, and I told her that she has to listen in the headphones because it's truly
Yeah.
a special space.
Да. І особливо там, де звучить голос Акріда, там
And the voice of Acrid is especially.
максимум ефект.
Yeah. And if Oleg approves, that you know that it's, you know.
Якщо вам Олег подобається, то це особливо.
Мені дуже подобається. Прям голос вони у Райана вийшла просто, я не знаю, немов він просто считав з мозку.
Does anyone else have a thought to say about or a question for Oleg or something that they're going to be doing? It doesn't have to relate to our project.
Alex, you've got a cool project, Alex.
So that's actually, I shared something in our private chat. That's not my project, but I thought it would be relevant to anybody listening to this. So there's a new book that just came out, and it was written in English, but it was written by an essayist who is a Kharkiv native and who's currently in Kharkiv. Her name is Victoria Hrivina, and the book is called Kharkiv, a War City. And it's a collection of essays that are absolutely beautiful. And she's definitely going to be a good fiction writer if she ever wants to be. Very well written. And I will be interviewing her for about an hour next month at the Flights of Foundry digital convention, where she's one of the primary guests this year. I was a guest of honor at their very first convention, a translator guest of honor. So they asked me back so that I would interview her, since I understand the situation and could probably ask more relevant questions. So I'm very excited to share that book with the world. I mean, it's coming out from a university press, so it's kind of a little bit outside of most of our what we see generally. So that's one project. The other project I'm much more directly involved in, and it's this book right here. It's coming out from Fairwood Press in October. And this is a collection, this is a short story collection by Katerina, who was actually originally from Donetsk. And she's living in Russia right now and writes in Russian, but I've translated perhaps more of her short stories than of anybody else's. She's absolutely brilliant and probably the best short story writer working in Fantastica today in the Russian language. And it's a big statement to make, and I stand by that. So this book is it's in pre-order right now, but you can also read many of the stories online for free. So you can actually sample her work. I have them all the ones that I translated. Many of them are linked from my bibliography page on my website, so you can actually go and check them out without buying the book, just to see what kind of stuff she writes.
Nice.
Пару слов для Олега о ваших проектах. Алекс, пожалуйста, пару слов для Олега.
Олег, я рассказал о двух книгах. Одна из них я с ней не связан, но я буду интервьюировать автора. Это женщина из Харькова, и она написала много эссе, которые собрали в книгу. Называется «Харьков. Военный город». Очень красивый просто язык, и прекрасно написано. И его выпустила маленькая университетская пресса в Европе. И поэтому это не очень известная книга еще, но хотелось бы, чтобы ее больше людей прочитало. А вторая книга, которую я показал, это перевод с русского языка, писатель, который пишет как K.A.Терина, это ее псевдоним, и она оригинально из Донецка, но живет сейчас в России, и я очень много рассказов ее переводил, она просто очень красивые, очень умные рассказы, я советую ее читать на любом языке. И я собрал много ее достаточно переводов, и наконец-то их собрали в сборник, и этот сборник выпустит довольно известная пресса, называется Fairwood Press в октябре.
Cool. Well, let me, if anyone else wants to speak up, you can. I'll try and share the transcript of this when it's edited, and hopefully you can all join us again next month. We're considering going to Saturdays. What do you think about that? Yeah, be okay? Does it matter to you, Oleg, Saturday?
А у нас взагалі якось не буває там понеділок, субота, неділя. У нас все
Yeah, where he is at, there are no
На
weekdays.
жаль.
There is no weekend.
It's all the same.
What about if we had it late at night on the East Coast, which would be early morning in Ukraine?
Зранку у мене менше можливості.
So
У
like
нас
Fewer
8.
opportunities.
зранку у нас дуже багато роботи завжди. От як сьогодні, це прямо ідеально.
So the current time is ideal.
От як сьогодні по часу, або так, як минулі. Тобто у нас в Україні там десь 11, здається, було минулого разу, да? Чи позаминулого?
Last time it was later, maybe 11 p.m. Ukrainian time.
Yeah, so I was thinking if we had it at
От
8
в
here.
інтервалі з 9 до 12 вечора це ідеально як для...
Between
У мене більше можливостей в цей час якось приділити, якось вирватися, щоб...
Those are most spacious between 9 p.m. and midnight.
It's what?
Between 9 p.m. and midnight Ukrainian time are the best opportunities.
It's the best opportunity. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll get back to you about that and we'll sort of firm it up if that sounds like a good idea. But let me play for the people who didn't see it. Victoria's amazing. This is the second one she's done, a voiceover. And I think it's just amazing how these kids, I mean, sorry, Victoria, you're not a kid, but you're young people can just pick up this stuff. And here we go.
Діти просто вони...
Children drew this parallel between themselves and Lisa's journey. Lisa, who is give or take about the same age as them, and she is just as lost as they are, not knowing where she's headed or what's going to happen tomorrow. This was very similar to what they were experiencing when they had to escape the war into Europe and didn't know what would happen going forward.
Тож пригоди Лізи, вони були такі, як...
So, Lisa's adventures were an opportunity for them to stop in some different world where there's a lot of miracles, real miracles.
На щось хороше, де трапляються не тільки...
Where there is hope in something good, where not only horrors or scary things transpire, but also where one meets good beings that try to help over the course of this girl's journey.
Всього шляху цієї дівчинки.
Yeah. So, Victoria.
Вікторія, дуже, дуже...
Надзвичайно.
It's wonderful. I'm going to end the recording. So, oops.